Channel's Business Global had an exclusive sit-down with property tycoon Yemi Edun, the man behind the independent estate agency Daniel Ford & Co. There are some real estate agents that remain resilient. One of them is Yemi Edun, the man behind Daniel Ford & Co., who has sold over 1,000 properties worth over £500 million. Yemi, welcome to Channel's Business Global. Thank you for opening your lavish doors. I must say it's quite lavish. We're in King's Cross, which is a nice part of central London. Is your story a rags to riches tale?
I wouldn't say that. If you say organic, definitely organic. Started off as a negotiator, more like an apprentice in West Hampstead, and had the opportunity to grow. And with Daniel Ford, from 4 properties, we are talking of over 500 properties. Rags, definitely not, but organic growth. And I don't think there's a better way to grow than growing organically, because I understand every element of the business, from bottom to the top.
I suppose that's key, isn't it, when you're running your own successful company. Daniel Ford & Co. has been described as a traditional real estate agency. What does that mean?
A traditional real estate firm would refer to a firm that offers a personal service. You understand your client and you don't see them as a punter. And I think we've earned that title. Most of our business have come by referral, return business. And one of our greatest claim to fame is the fact that we're dealing with second generation buyers. So we have clients now that their parents used to buy from us. The proceeds of their rent, paid for their school tuition and all that. And this kids, in quotes, used to, before the internet days, used to come and take their allowance by check here. Now they are buying. So, so we are traditional. We use modern technology, but the key element of the interpersonal relationship is still very much there.
I presume the property market, as with all industries, has evolved, and that's partly due to the internet. And then, of course, there's social media. How do you stay above the trend?
Well, we have to keep in tune. We infuse in our team younger brains as well, fresh brains, and they keep us in tune with what's going on. This is London. London is a dynamic city, and I think one of the best things about this city that has suffered 2 world war bombings is that it's still relevant. You can go to Docklands and see modern, and you go to some parts of central London and you're just totally lost in the old ages. So, and that's what we've tried to match ourselves in our operations and our delivery.
Operations and delivery, how is it delivered? Because I must say, some would say you're a pretty flamboyant character, and you're definitely the personality behind Daniel Ford & Co. Tell me a little bit about your setup and your staffing and how you manage the day-to-day running of the business.
I'm not sure about flamboyant. I'm a confident character, but definitely I wouldn't address myself as being flamboyant. However, the beauty about the team is longevity. We understand ourselves. I had someone that was here for 16 years. I've had someone that's been here 18 years. And, so the ethos, the value it just runs through. So the team, we retain the best, and we don't have to tell the ones that don't meet up to look elsewhere.
Okay, that's a pretty succinct answer there. What are some of the most challenging things when it comes to running a day-to-day property portfolio that's as big as yours? And, it is absolutely massive. Would you say that Brexit and the uncertainty is, leaking into buyers' confidence?
London is a unique market. I must tell you, in actual terms, we've actually done more this year than we've done in the last 2 years. It's all about confidence, understanding, and understanding that property itself is not a short-term investment. It's a long-term investment. I tell people that, look, the best time to buy is when you can afford. Brexit is an issue. It's made us engage more, allaying fears, explaining things. But if you're buying any property in London under £1 million, I don't think you have any cause to worry.
That's quite interesting, actually. So you think it's people that are spending more money that are affected potentially by Brexit?
Well, if you're buying properties over £2 million as an investment, right, you have to weigh and try and get the best deal. However, if you're buying a property as a home, we all need a roof over our head. So Brexit or no Brexit, if you want to live close to a particular area because of the good schools, of work, you still have to go ahead with it. Just try and get the best deal for yourself. London is strong.
What's your opinion on Brexit?
Like everyone, it's so hazy. I don't, when you say opinion, I wouldn't like to voice my personal preference. However, like everyone, every serious-minded Londoner or British resident and citizen, we just want this thing done and dusted.
Welcome back to Channel's Business Global with me, Juliana Olayinka, from our studios here in London. Now, back to our exclusive sit-down with Yemi Edun, the British-Nigerian property tycoon. I asked what makes London so special for Nigerians looking for a second home abroad.
Various things. Lifestyle, football, medical, education, shopping. The fact that London is about the only city, I would say, that most Nigerians would not experience a culture shock. Most educated Nigerians know there's somewhere called Oxford Street, Bond Street,
Peckham,
Harrods, Selfridges.
Give us a little bit of an insight. Where are some of the destinations of choice for your wealthy clients?
Well, because ultimately, what you buy is a function of your affordability. Everyone wants to buy in good areas, but the beauty of London is you've got options. You've got some people like Surrey, lovely estates there, St. George's Hill, Wentworth Park, St. John's Wood is very popular, South Kensington, One-Eyed Park, Nigeria is represented there, Beaufort Park in Colindale. So it depends on the exposure of the individual and the budget.
It's interesting that you mentioned Surrey, because I was curious to know if you're finding some Nigerians who, are wealthy, but are considering moving further afield from London. I know Surrey is outside London, but just further afield from the M25, like so many Londoners are, purely because, they get more for their money.
It depends. It depends. These things are personal. If you are leaving your country for London, you want to live in London, you get few people that have the dream of the big grounds and all that. They live, maybe they've got kids, young kids in school. I've clients everywhere, Hertfordshire, Essex, Reading, So it depends on the personal preference of the individual.
So it's personal preference. It's not because they think you're gonna have an extra garage or more square meters for that same amount of money, and it's easier to get into London.
I think it's less of that, because you don't actually need a car in London, and if you really need a car in St. John's Wood, you still get a property with a garage and a drive. So it's a function of the budget and the personal requirements of the family. Whatever you need, you can get.
What about renting? Renting is booming in London, and not just in London, I would say in most major cities. There's something about the Nigerian community, especially when you're from an upper echelon, that renting is frowned upon. Would you say that's still the case, or are there some people that are happy to rent, that don't need to own a property to feel like they've made it in life?
Well, you're right. Nigerians have the belief that they have to own their home, but I have a totally different opinion on that. And the advice we give our client is, you buy what you can afford, but you live where you want to live. You rent where you want to live. You know, once you own a property, it doesn't matter where it is, you know, because your kids are schooling in a particular area, they're in Imperial College, and you rent in Chelsea, but they won't be in Imperial College for more than 4 years. You know, you might live in Hertfordshire and rent in Chelsea. And people have come to terms with that. The main reason rent is popular is the fact that you don't need a deposit. The cost you don't need the laws.
You don't need a large deposit.
No, the law has changed actually. You don't pay more than a month's deposit.
Okay.
So if you're renting at £4,000 a month, so all you need is 4,000 plus another 4,000. If you're buying that same property, a property that's going to cost you £4,000 a month in rent would be about £2 million. For that, you need 40% deposit, which is about 800,000 plus stamp duty, legals, you know. So you're talking of over $1 million.
Pretty much impossible for the majority
Absolutely.
of people.
I agree.
It's very, 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 very expensive.
But bear in mind that things have changed. There are about 6 Nigerian banks in the City of London, very, very active, and there are mortgage facilities available.
That's interesting you've spoken about these Nigerian banks. What's your opinion on the Nigerian mortgage sector? We've had people come onto Channel's Business Global talking about it, and some would say that there's just not enough money in the pot. There's not enough money in the bank or in the central bank to support the mortgage sector and to make it effective. Do you agree with that?
Are you talking of Nigeria in Nigeria?
In Nigeria.
I would just want to talk about the United Kingdom.
Okay, you don't have an opinion on the Nigerian mortgage sector?
It's an evolving industry. There's so many elements that, you know, banks are there to make money. You know, if the right structure are put in place, like you buy your property. If you buy your property in England, in 2 weeks you get your title document. The registration is done. In Nigeria, it takes a long time. So all these things have to fuse together, you know, to ensure the security of the bank. In London, it is more fluid. It is established. You know, it's secure. You know, when you're giving out a loan, you know you're giving out, and your interest is registered on the property the next day or the same day. So I believe it goes beyond what's in the pot. I don't think what's in the pot has been fully utilized in Nigeria, but it's not just the bank, it's the whole...
It's the ecosystem, is it?
Absolutely. It's the property, the land use decree, and all sorts of things that has to be looked at to get the best out of it. There's still a lot to learn and to put in place.
Yes, and I'm sure it can benefit from some of your expertise. Let's change gear again slightly as we wrap up. You're a very successful British Nigerian man, doing what most Black Brits could never see themselves doing. What kind of advice do you give to them, especially those that are trying to get on the property ladder and see it as, absolutely impossible and would never approach somebody like you because you only deal with multimillionaires?
Absolutely not. I deal with everyone. I encourage the young ones. I do property seminars. I don't charge for it. My doors are open. But most importantly, in the UK, you need a good credit file. When you're in school, a lot of people get a little bit irresponsible, but try and correct it as soon as possible, and get a job. Be disciplined with what you earn. Everyone can buy. The beauty of the UK is you have Help to Buy, shared ownership, ISA mortgages. There's so many options.
Some
out
would
there.
say that those schemes only benefit a particular type of person. Is that? Would you rubbish that?
No, I won't rubbish it. Any help you can get, if your parents own an ex-council property, include your name on it, get the discount and buy it. Just do something. So for anyone out there, what I would say is try and find your strengths and work best at it. You know, I'm not good at everything, but I focus on my strength and try to improve on my shortcomings.
And your strength is property?
Well, I will say my strength is people. People trust me, and over time I've earned that trust. I could be selling anything, and I believe I would still make success out of it.
That was Yemi Edun, the British-Nigerian property tycoon, the man behind Daniel Ford & Co. Sadly, that's all we have time for today.